It's our anniversary week! I am so excited because Chris and I are finally celebrating 16 years together in this lifetime. And I'm so excited because from the beginning, I have literally counted down every anniversary. Hey, it's our 1 week anniversary. Hey, it's our 2 month anniversary. Oh, and every single freaking time, Chris would be like, we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. And even to this day, we're going to make it. Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 16 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation and working with thousands of clients, we've found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset that aligns with your authenticity, integrity, and soul purpose, regardless of your past.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness. We don't shy away from the taboo topics like sex, hypnosis, meditation, and exploring altered states of consciousness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be.
You know, sometimes you just set the bar a little low, and that way you definitely know if you nail it. Because if you put, what I notice that a lot of people do that I think screws up relationships is they put so much pressure on it. Like, this next person that I'm going to meet is going to be the one, and there's going to be no one else out there for me. And there's a lot of pressure there. And so really in the beginning of the relationship, besides the fact that I didn't want to be in a relationship, I definitely did not want to get married, but I didn't want to put a bunch of pressure on it. I didn't want to force something. I wanted it to sort of naturally evolve. And I think that that's sort of the way that we have made our relationship from the get-go, is just let it unfold how it unfolds and not necessarily try to control it or try to do something specific, but just let the chips fall where they are and be okay with where they are at.
Have we ever shared like how we met on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't think we have. Have we? Okay, well, if we can't remember, then you probably don't either. So I feel like we should give a cute little recap on how we met 16 years ago.
Cute.
You know.
So I was in real estate, and we'd buy and sell houses. I was an investor, and I was always looking for an assistant because no matter what happened, there was always more work than I could ever get done. And so I was looking for somebody, and what was happening back then, the poppin' place was MySpace. I mean, MySpace was the place that you could find people. It was so easy, to get on there, and you could literally find anything about, or anyone to do anything. It was like
the TikTok of our generation.
I mean, it was like TikTok. It was like Upwork. It was like, you went on there and people were there. And so that's where I started looking. It was easy. I wanted to find someone who was more around my age, more like me. I'm the youngest person at my work. And so I wanted to find someone that was young and into the same kind of stuff, same kind of music. And so I found someone and bring her in, try to interview her, hire. And she ends up, I look at her MySpace, and she has this friend on there with this pink hair. And it was pink in a way, it wasn't just like regular pink. There was something about the shine of it. There was something about this person, and you're just like, what in the hell is going on? You were kind of like, I'm not sure if this person's okay mentally. And at the same time, you're like, but I need to find out. I definitely need to figure out about this.
Also, I was covered in Lisa Frank stickers in my profile photo at that time.
Yes. So I'm thinking, I asked her, I'm like, who in the world is this person? What was it, top 8 back then? You got in the top 8?
I don't know. Was it 5?
I think that was T-Mobile. Phase 5 was T-Mobile. I think top 8.
I don't know.
Anyway, so you're in the top, and so I was like, I'm asking. I'm like, hey, let's not really talk about real estate. Let's talk about who's this person with this wild ass pink hair. I want to know more about this because I was a private school kid, and so like I'm used to super straight laced people. Used to button up suits like that, short haircut, all tight trim, tie, all that. And so Britt was something totally different. And
that girl with the pink hair was me.
That girl with the pink hair was definitely Britt. And she was like, I asked her, I said, so what's the scoop on here? And she goes, I hate that girl. And I was like, well, this is even more interesting now. And so I'm like, what is the deal? And she's like, I absolutely, what you should do here, I'll introduce you guys. You should date her and then you should break up with her. She's not for me.
That, I mean, just so funny how it all unfolded because we had stopped being friends about a year prior. And when she called me out of the random blue and was like, hey, I have this guy that you might be interested in, I was like, I just turned 20. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be mature and I'm going to like talk to her. We haven't talked in a year. Like maybe like this is forgiveness. I don't know. And she said, I've got this guy. His name is Chris Carmichael. And my intuition, talk about being psychic, like my intuition showed me his main profile photo, like with the dark frame glasses and the hair, and like, okay, I'm like, is he hot? That was the first question I asked, priorities. She was like, not really, but I think you'll really like him. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are you calling me? I just thought it was so weird. And then Chris called me out of the blue from a private number, which I think you called me from a private number for like a solid month because...
I mean, just the way that you looked, I'm thinking this girl's a stalker. I mean, she's got to be a stalker.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. So Chris calls me, I'm in beauty school, and we are talking, and one of the first things he says is, well, I gotta go. I'm going on a date tonight. And I fucking hung up on him. But what was more interesting than that is our conversation before he called and how he got my number. He sends me a friend request on MySpace, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what's going on here? So I send him a message and I say, if you're going to add me, at least say something intriguing. Do you even remember what you said? Because it fucking blew me away so much that when I read the line, we're all searching for life's elixir, I think there was something deep in my soul, like, twin flame, this is the guy, he's the one. I just wrote back with my fucking phone number. That was it.
I mean, you have to think about what my perspective was. Here I've got this girl, and I'm asking about you. And so she says, yes, add her. So I add you, and then the message the catty message you send me back is, if you're going to add me, at least say something intriguing. I'm like, are you serious? I was like successful in my life. I'd already done well. Like I had all my stuff together. I was fine on all cylinders. Like I had already started to really achieve what I was working on. And I'm like, this girl, what in the world? And so I'm like, challenge accepted.
I know. I'm like, you're welcome, because I know who you are now. And I'm sure that was like, oh, like knuckles crunching, like, watch what I can do, bitch.
And what I told her in that message, essentially, is that we never know who it is that we're going to meet in our lives. We have no idea. And so when we're driving down the road, a lot of times we don't see the other people in the cars. We just see cars. But that's a human being in there. They're having a life experience. And so what I wrote in the message is that you have no idea who the other person is. And I meant myself. Like, you don't know what that person can do for you. You don't know how meeting that person may change your life. You don't know if they're the one carrying life's elixir for you. Like, you don't know if that's what the case is. So and my real goal is to be like, coming at me like that, you have no idea. But it definitely sparked something really interesting, because that's how our relationship started to go at that point. When we actually met each other that night, we just spent the whole night hanging out in a parking lot, just talking, just chatting. The actual security guard ended up coming out and being like, look, you guys eventually have to leave. Like, I have to stay here until you guys leave. So I want to go home. Can you please do whatever you got to do and just get out of here? And it was setting off. I think when we start off relationships, a lot of times, what we go do is it's always just fun things, right? And so it's easy to like a person when you're doing fun things. It's difficult just to hold a conversation in stillness. It's different when we weren't even listening to music. We were literally sitting in silence and just chatting. Just how can we get along? Let's not go distract ourselves with friends. Let's not go to a concert. Let's not go somewhere else. Let's not go do a bunch of stuff. Let's just see how we are together. If that vibes, I mean, you're off and running. If it takes all of the other things to have the relationship, you've already kind of started to bury yourself. So having that person with you that you just like being around, where you start to prefer them over doing other things.
You know, what's really interesting about that conversation in the car was it was very deep and intimate. We got very vulnerable and opened up about all of our childhood. Well, maybe not all of yours. I maybe had spilled all of my childhood bullshit to you. Like, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I'm bringing to the table. Like, I'm a lot of fun, but I got a little trauma, you know? And we made out. And 16 years later, here we are. But I think so many things need to be shared. Like how I always listen to you when you like talk on our podcast. You always recap whatever the next, like whatever someone says. And I want to recap what you just said. Like we met on an interesting circumstance where there really wasn't a lot of trust built up because you had almost ill intentions for this relationship. And when I remember the first week we were dating, we were walking through Walmart and he looked at me, we were picking up, he was so kind. He was like, you need new windshield wipers. Like, let's go get some. I'm like, what the hell? Who is this guy? I'm like, who is this guy? Like windshield wipers? But like always looking out for me. But you told me, here's the plan. Like, Jordan told me this, like name drop, whatever. You know who you are. And thank you, because 16 years. But here's the thing, like, you told me the plan was like, I'm supposed to date you and break up with you and yada yada. And honestly, Chris, for the first 6 months, I was super skeptical. I think that's probably why I moved in after 2 months. I was like, well, fuck that. Like, if you really do like me and want to pursue this, like, let's fucking do this. I moved all of Chris's shit to the small closet and started infiltrating all my clothes just a little bit at a time. He happened to live really close to my beauty school, and I was driving over 40 minutes to get to school every day. So I was like, well, this seems more convenient. Like, stay at his place, go to school, like... So I slowly weaseled my way in at 2 months. Like, I just knew, like, you were the one. There was something in my soul. And I think that's an important piece, is like that vibe, that intimate conversation that we had, I think opened the door to be able to trust you while still having one foot in the door of like, the fuck is this guy? Like, what's happening?
See, I think that the big challenge in relationships is always going to be trust. And you brought up something that's extremely important. And this is something that I've been practicing for a while now. And it rubs people the wrong way sometimes. And you have to be okay with doing that. And that is practicing radical honesty. Like really coming from a place where you will just tell a person, where you don't necessarily sugarcoat it. I don't mean being a jerk, but I do mean coming out with the truth and expressing that truth in the way that you know and the way that best serves the moment. And so sometimes when you do that, it's going to put people on the defensive mode because you've come out and really delivered something. So when I admitted what the plan was, that was me expressing truth. And what's interesting is that that's what set you like, whoa, I don't know if I can trust this guy. Me telling you the truth let you feel I don't know if I can trust this guy. So always you're going to have to be dealing with other people's rationalizations of things and what their emotions are going to. You remember that anyone who enters a relationship is always going to bring with them all of the traumas and coping mechanisms that they brought from their previous relationship. So when people enter into something new, they enter in oftentimes very wounded. And so you're going to have to pick up the scraps from that wounded person. And there's not another way to do it. Most people don't just sail through life and every relationship was perfect. Otherwise, why would they be looking for a new one? And so you have to remember that a lot of times that person's been burned or scorned and people have said extremely hateful things to them. So they are going to have the trust issues right from the beginning. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, how can I let another person love me? How can I be vulnerable? How can I let them in when so many things have happened to me when I've actually done that?
And the real fucking kicker is that usually when you enter into a relationship with those fears, you typically end up drawing them to you. You manifest them because you focused on that fear, and you have to work through that trial of whatever expression that is. And that typically either makes or breaks you, because it like one proves to you like, see, I knew that was what the case was, or you realize that was a self-sabotaging pattern from the past and you're ready to stop that cycle.
So obviously one of the most important things in relationship is this trust factor. So I want to give you a few tips on how you can start to build that trust deeper in your relationship. And the first tip is going to be extremely common sense, but a lot of us do not do it, and that is be honest. Actually be honest. Stop lying. Stop lying to your partner. Stop lying to yourself. Start to have that open conversation and just start to be you. You want to be with someone who loves you. not necessarily the picture that they make of you or the person that they could possibly change you into or who you might be in 10 years from now. You want someone who just loves you. And so there's no reason to pretend anymore. There's no reason to keep trying to be somebody different. Just be you and magnify whatever strengths that you have and be that person, because that person is who everyone else wants to be around. It's so much easier to be who you are. You don't have to lie anymore then. You don't have to keep track of multiple stories. You're just in your power all the time.
You know, what's interesting is I had a lot of trust issues moving into relationships. So lying was definitely a mechanism that I used. And when I started dating Chris, I would just tell him small little lies that were absolutely meaningless and didn't even need to happen. And what I learned is that you can't lie to Chris Carmichael. His entire throat turns red. I know I've met other people out there that have those like skin reactions, like go flush when things are happening emotionally. But oh my goodness, I can always tell when Chris is either being lied to or he's getting real pumped up because his neck starts to just like blister red. And so I had to learn in my throat chakra to speak truth and be honest and be okay with being myself and being true to who I am and expressing that to him.
You know, you have to be looking at what the signals your body is giving you. I mean, you have to start looking at what those things are. Because you are constantly getting information about the environment around you and the people around you. If you'll listen to those subtle insights, that's just one that I have.
Your gut doesn't lie.
Yeah, my chest and neck just turn a weird red color, and it starts to make the tips of my fingers cold. So I try to be clued into that. I try to figure out what is it that is going
your
on.
Fingers, I'm not lying, but your fingers are so cold right now.
Yeah, when I get excited, when I get extra energy, it's like the speaking part of me comes more alive, and so it causes my fingers on the very tips to just, I mean, they're like 5 or 10 degrees colder right now. And
they're icicles.
That happens to me every time we record. Anytime I'm speaking, anytime that I'm live or in front of people, like that same thing starts to come. It's just that I feel like I draw power. I'm pulling the energy out of those fingertips and using it somewhere else.
For what matters.
Yeah. And so it's important to start cluing into yourself. The other thing to start really doing, the next really big tip for building trust in your relationship is to stop being so jealous. Stop being jealous of people. Like, stop being jealous of what their ex is going to do. And I will tell you the truth about this, is that if people are going to cheat, they're going to cheat anyways. No matter how much you collar them and chain them and all the different kind of things and control their schedule and know where their car is and their phone is at all times.
Like, don't be creepy, man.
Like, no matter how much you check their email or look at their text message, if a person's going to cheat, they're still going to cheat. So now, if you're going to play detective and policeman and all that kind of stuff, like, it's going to drive you crazy.
I say that's a lot of drama.
But the real part of it is that you do not own the other person. We are not in a relationship so that we can have ownership of someone. I don't own Britt. If she wanted to cheat today, that's her prerogative. I don't own her. There's nothing I can do about that. That is her choice and her part of that's not for me to decide.
Unless Johnny Depp shows up, you're good.
Sweet Johnny Depp.
I mean, he's hot. Give me a break. Like, whatever. So I want to know, like, we're talking about trust, building intimacy, because I believe that trust leads to intimacy. And so many times, just you and I, we take a walk every night and we have the privilege of living in a very, busy area with all things popping and going on. And as we peek through the windows of these places, it's so many couples on their phone, staring at their phone, not even engaging or looking at each other over the dinner table. And you would think that just having dinner together isn't an act of intimacy, but in today's world, it is. Can you speak on how to, now that you've built this trust, now that you've started to be who you are and speak your truth and be authentic, speak up for your needs, like, how do you take that intimacy to the next level? I mean, obviously get off your phones.
Well, the whole challenge is to get out of your own head. And a lot of times we use our phones and lots of other things as distractions from our regular life. We get bored and our attention span has been continuously shortened and shortened and shortened. I mean, you look at TikTok videos now and they're tiny. I remember when it was first YouTube videos and they'd be like an hour long. I mean, you're listening to something, you're watching something, like you're into this. And then it just got shorter and shorter. And now recipe videos, you can watch the whole recipe done in 10 seconds. And so like everything has changed. And so it's changed how we interact with and interface with human beings. And we have to remember that that person sitting across from us needs our love, acceptance, and approval, especially if we were going to grow. And so it's, you just have to set your mind aside. This is like a lot of people who talk about being anxious in front of people, or like when they public speak and things like that. It's because they are trapped inside their own emotions. That's what they're focused on. They're focused on only their internal world. And when you're with other people, you want to be focused on them. Like the whole purpose of you going out to dinner and enjoying something like that is so that you can be together. I mean, look at them. Look how beautiful they are in their eyes. Like listen to the words that they speak. Like watch the way that they inflect certain things. Like just look at them breathing. Like just be with their being and in their essence for a little while. And that's how you start to build intimacy. A lot of people think it's just something that you're doing in the bedroom. And the reality is it's something that you're doing all the time. Like if you're not intimate in the way that you touch your partner, or the way that you, what it sounds like when they answer the phone when you call, like that is where you really start to nail it. Like you want to be like, maybe it is opening the door sometimes. Maybe it is giving them flowers. Maybe it is, having a card or showing up or making them dinner when they had a rough day. But so much of it is in the basic things, just the way you use your tone. When they wake up in the morning, are they looking for you going like, oh my God, where's this person that I love so much in my life? Like that's the feeling that you want to start to evoke out of them. You want them to be just pumped about life. And so you have to start allowing the present moment to be the part of your relationship that is really the foundation. You want to be together, and the only way you do that is getting out of your own head. That's why we talked about not being jealous, not being angry, not being all these other emotions. If you're trapped in your emotions, you're not with the other person. You're playing loops in your mind. And so to be with them, you have to let your mind go and let your heart open up.
Oh, that takes so much awareness to be able to recognize that, I think that what has made our relationship get to this point is the awareness of, hey, we are hurt and we need to heal. We want to change. We want to release some of these patterns or old beliefs from our childhood. And I think both of us being on the same page of wanting to heal and wanting to grow together, I believe is the foundation and what has set us up for this just like beautiful, harmonious, like oneness in our relationship.
And I think it's really important to be okay with your partner going through it. Sometimes they're going to be healing from something that you may not understand, or it may not be serious to you because maybe that's not a kind of problem that you deal with, or maybe that's not something that you take to be something really big. But it may be huge for them. The little bitty light bulbs that we have in our lives are not going to be significant to other people. And so sometimes your partner is going to have these light bulbs go off, or they have this massive insight like, oh my gosh, I've been acting like my mom for so long. Or, oh, I've been playing this story in my head because this person did this thing. Like, holy crap, I've been screwing myself for years, and not in a good way. And so you have to know that they're going to go through that and still just love them through it. Like there was a time where I took Brit's time of the month to be super serious, and it was almost like I felt like she was attacking me. Like I'm like, holy moly, like I'm at the gauntlet right now. Like what is going on? And I started to realize that had nothing to do with me. It took a while because I wasn't used to that. And suddenly, because we're together all the time, and so I'm around. I could be the punching bag. But once I realized that that's not about me, I just sidestep. I'm like, here you go, baby. You're just going to redirect over here. You're sprinting full speed at me. I'm Toro. I've got my red cape and I'm flapping it in the wind. I'm just going to move out of the way, let her run right by.
I'm glad you got smart.
It's totally fine to do that. So you have to start being aware of the moods and the seasons and the changes that are happening in your partner, and not just what happens monthly, what happens on a yearly basis, what happens during the life cycles, what happens every 7 years. Like where are they in their lives, and what do you have to change in your attitude and approach? If something is going on in our relationship, I do not ever try to change Brit. No way. And that's what I do for a living. I help people change. I'm not trying to change Brit. Absolutely not. All I am doing is changing my response and my approach to her, and seeing if that allows for something new to come up. That's it. If anything comes up, I'm changing my approach, and that is it. So I don't get frustrated with her. I'm thinking, oh, I've got to change something. Something I'm doing is not working correctly. So if you're not hitting the bedroom the same way, if you're like, man, my sex drive is way higher, we need to be in the bedroom, and you're like, hey, we need sex, and you're mad with your partner, and you're tangling through all that, maybe your approach is wrong. Maybe what you did earlier in that day is not working correctly. Maybe you haven't been having open conversations with them. So you have to be looking at what these different kinds of problems are and then talking about it, being real about it, and having that radical honesty so that you can do something different.
And you know, sometimes women don't even know what the heck they're experiencing. They have all these emotions and hormones that are kicking off because I didn't know like the emotional wave of my menstrual cycle and how there's a certain week for rest, there's a certain week for lots of energy, there's a certain week for creativity. I didn't understand that my own personal psycho. Well, there it is. There's some Freudian slip for you. I didn't understand my own personal cycle. And so in the relationship, you need to remember that you're not entering into battle or compete with each other. And when your partner's going through something and maybe they don't even know what it is, they can't explain it. Like there's sometimes even to this day where I'll tell Chris, like, I don't know, I'm just fucking crazy right now. I feel, like I don't have a word for it, but I'm going through something. At this point, Chris now knows to never take any of those emotions or feelings or my lack of clarity and what's going on, but we all know something's up because I'm like short or quiet or the mood has changed. I think it's really important for you to not take anything personally from your partner. Unless your partner's specifically saying like, hey, because you left the toilet seat up, I'm mad now, unless they're specifically addressing something that has happened, then you can, find a resolution to that. But it seems like what we've experienced is that anytime your partner is expressing an emotion that isn't toward you, we tend to take it personally, like Chris was saying. And I don't think that's always the case. So maybe let that defensiveness soften around your partner, because that's the one person you signed up to be with in this life, to be intimate, to feel safe.
There's another really big challenge that comes up that's kind of the opposite of that, and that is we're talking about being with your partner when they're down, right? When they're going through something. But the other thing that can be challenging for a lot of people is, what do you do when your partner's hitting a huge streak of success? Because a lot of times the ego can flare up and say, well, I'm not doing as well, or and you start to put strain on the relationship because you start to feel, am I worthy of this? Do I deserve this? Should I be with a person who's being so successful? This is kind of blowing me out of the water. So this is something that's different. This is where imposter syndrome can come up. This is where people can have a lot of worthiness and all the self stuff that we have that's screwed up, all the self-worth, the self-esteem, the self-confidence, all that stuff can get super haywire when that happens. And again, your goal, like I mentioned earlier, is to stop being in your own emotions all the damn time and to start being on the side of your partner, to start telling them like, hey, let's get this. Like, let's succeed. Let's do this. How can I help you? How can I be a part of this? Like, what do I need to be doing? Like, let's get excited. Let's get pumped. I am glad, because we hit streaks at different times. We're just, like I said, we're at different stages of our life. So we're going to hit a streak. Sometimes we may hit a bunch of ruts. Sometimes we hit a bunch of wins. So what? That's the part about this whole thing, is not taking everything so seriously all the time. If we're never having fun, like, what's the use of all this? Like, we did all this for nothing. And so make sure you're having fun. Make sure you're having fun when your partner succeeds. Make sure you're having fun even when it's super tough. Even when you're like, this sucks. Still have fun. See if you can have a little bit of fun. See if you can laugh it off. See if you can not take things so seriously for a minute.
Oh, that just lifts the mood already. So what are 3 things that couples can do, like actionable steps that will help to improve their relationship? Like now, like what are 3 things that have helped our relationship or that keep it going and intimate and fun?
Oh, definitely our walks, our walks all the time. The walks, walkie-talkie that we do.
Walkie-talkie.
We do date night. Date night's one of the most important nights of the week. This is just the two of you. Put your phones down.
Oh my gosh, our date night this week on Friday is our anniversary.
Boom.
We're going out of town. We're so excited, getting a cabin in the woods. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the last thing that you really want to be doing too is updating the rules. And that is to be open and honest about where you are, what's working, what's not working, what do you see in your future, like what's going on, and start rating it. Start rating it so you can see where your partner's at, because you don't always know. I don't ever know where Brit's at. I mean, I can be with her all the time, but sometimes she may be going through something that either I didn't pick up on or she's been quiet about. I don't know. And so, or maybe something that's been awesome and that she really loved. Like, hey, I love doing this week. So I asked, like, hey, what about this week? So we just do this once a week. It's once a week on the walk. Hey, what's been going on? How you been feeling about all this? Do you like what we're doing? Do you like where we're going? Do you like who we've been hanging out with? Do you like the balance of work and the regular stuff? Is the intimacy good for you? Just all those basic questions. A check-in. Hey, what's up? I mean, if you're being coached by somebody or something like that, there would be a weekly check-in. There'd be something where you would be accountable for what happened that week, and you would be honest about it. And so that honesty part makes it so that 6 months, 8 months down the road, it's not like, well, you put my sandwich in the wrong bag, now I want to get a divorce. Because we have all of this time of crap that we never dealt with, and so it's a small thing that ends up really breaking the camel's back. And instead, what you want to do is hit it head on when it's tiny. It's like when your brakes are squeaking in your car, go get it fixed. Don't wait.
So annoying.
Don't wait until everything is destroyed and you've broken. Like just do little tune-ups, just constant tune-ups. It's back to consistency again. Consistency and focus. Just do a little bit of maintenance all the time. It's like if you'll clean one house or one room out of the house, each day, your house gets clean. It wasn't so overwhelming the whole time. So just do a little bit of stuff, just small little incremental steps. But ask. I don't know where she sits on everything. She doesn't know where I sit. And so having that communication, it makes for conversations where you start to make suggestions. Because when something doesn't work, it's not like let's beat the other person up. It's like, well, what do we do to make it better? Okay, well, if we're going to do it differently this week, how would it be? Like, what will be the changes? Like, will we wake up earlier? Will we go to bed later? What's the case? Like, what is it? And so you start to offer solutions. This isn't a part where we're thinking about what problems are. This is only to pull solutions out, to make our life better in a way that we hadn't currently been doing and didn't know was a big deal. So try it out. 3 tips. There it is.
What's one of your favorite memories from the last 16 years together?
I think it's the big surprise memories, the surprise stuff. Like do you remember when we went to Six Flags?
So my gosh.
We had a Scion XB, the little box funny looking toaster car. And
it's my 21st birthday.
We go on BRIT's 21st anniversary. And this kind of stuff happens literally all the time. And I love it. And it's probably one of my favorite things about life, period. And that is that, so we pull up to Six Flags. And they just decided it was going to be a Scion event that day. And we got in for free. We got meal passes.
Anyone who drove a Scion got into Six Flags for free, got a VIP meal package ticket.
Everything.
We got, what concert tickets did we go? Timbaland. We got
Timbaland.
Timbaland concert tickets that night.
So that happens, a lot. Just random weird events like that. To me, that's the most fun. It's stuff that I couldn't plan for. It's stuff that I didn't think ahead of before time, that I didn't even know was on the agenda that day, and it just unfolds really cool. Like to me, that's always the mystery. It's you plan, you set goals, you do all these things, but then it's the spontaneity, it's the mystery, it's the I didn't know this was going to happen. That's the fun stuff.
Where do you see us in 5 to 10 years?
On land, relaxed.
We're gonna make it.
Oh my gosh! I see how you did that. That was clever. I see us just continuing what we're doing. I want to be on. I want to grow my own food. I've been super obsessed about my food intake and all that kind of stuff. I think how much having a garden or having nature around you, being able to sit out and let it be quiet, being able to look up at the stars, being able to like sit out on your deck and just real simple, just looking out at the trees, listen to the birds, squirrels, all that. There's something about being out there in that does something to us. I mean, we try to get away as often as possible, even if it's for one night, even if it's for just a couple of days. And it's hardly ever in the city. It's trying to go to nature, being out on acreage, being somewhere where it's simple life, not a good Wi-Fi. I mean, bad Wi-Fi. Can't even pull up a song to play. But it's really rewarding to be at a place where your mind can mentally retreat. I assume we'll be doing the same stuff though. I love it. There's been so much good change for people, and I've gotten to. I mean, now that we've interviewed some people and things like that, I feel like it's relit a spark in understanding the ways that what we do helps, and what they're doing with some of that information, and it's so positive. And being able to help people, I mean, that's kind of the whole goal. I mean, there's not much else I really care about. I mean, I'm entertained enough by reading a book, so I'm a cheap date. So I think us helping people more, us bringing more people into finding out more about their power, less anxiety, all that.
Where do you want to travel to next year?
Oh my gosh, here we go.
I feel like I'm going to interview you now.
The woods. I want to be in the woods somewhere. I love being somewhere beautiful that is relaxing. I would Depending on what international travel does, I mean, I would like to go to some beautiful beach that I haven't seen before, like a Greece or somewhere like
Greece.
something like
Let's
that.
go.
Let's do it.
I'm booking it. Oh my gosh, I love you.
So I want to ask you, why do you think our relationship works?
Ugh, because I'm in it.
You're a mess.
Oh my God, because we can laugh and have fun. Because we don't take everything too serious. We've learned to relax around each other. We've learned to trust each other. We support each other's goals and dreams. You were literally at every fucking adult volleyball game I ever had. Like, you support the weird shit that I do, and I support your video games, and I listen to your things about the things. I think our relationship works because we let each other be ourselves. And you let me decorate everything in pink.
Everything. Everything. You're wearing a pink shirt. You have pink hair. Everything's pink. There's so many pairs of pink boots in the room I'm in right now. There's so many. And they have hearts. They have pink hearts on the pink boots.
Aren't they red? Or are they pink?
They're pink.
I think you're colorblind.
I am.
Well, that's probably good because it's so rainbow in here. No, what else? Like, I think we prioritize our pleasure as well. Like, we're not just like to-do list and work. I think we don't have children is a big factor. Not that if you have children, you're fucked. I think you can have a beautiful life with a family. And we have done that with our animals. So I think watching you like show the fatherly thing towards the animals is like, I don't know, just like opened up more parts of availability to love you and like to see you in a different light. So, I don't know, so many factors, but I think always just having fun. Like our main goal is always to have fun. And I think when the fun stops, then what's the point?
So what would you suggest anyone else do in their relationship? If they wanted to build a relationship that was going to be super successful, what's one main factor that they could do that you feel like if you did this, you at least have a shot?
I think just go do something fun again. Like when you started dating, like Chris and I would play fucking cards. Like we never brought our phone to the table because Chris like didn't even have a fucking phone really when we first started dating. We brought cards to every restaurant that we ate out at, and that led us to like having fun connection and conversation. It showed each other's mind and like how our intellect works and like how our strategy works and how Chris is a fucking cheater at all these fucking card games, and you know it, motherfucker. It just like, I think, go back to when you first started dating, when it was fun and there were sparks flying and the sex was good and like you were just craving to be with that person. Like, what was that? Like, bring that energy back to the relationship or go do those things that you used to do. Like Chris and I would go to like batting cages and like just little shit that like got us to learn about each other and how each other operate. And I think, having that fun back into your relationship, whatever you did in the beginning where that passion was, do that.
Boom.
Okay, so there you have it. How we met 16 years ago, what our journey of healing together, growing together, learning to trust ourselves and each other, and all the fun that we've prioritized has led to this relationship, and how we work and interact and live our life every single day, like perfectly interwoven.
So go out there and have fun. Tell somebody that you care about them. Be in the present moment. Put your phone down when you're around people. Get on the phone as much as you want when you're not. But really look into that person's eyes. Let them see and feel and hear how much you care about them. Let the relationship build up that way and find out what happens. Take your shot. If you haven't taken it in a while, take a shot. Get out there and do something. Be around people. Be in love again. Like, just get filled with that love. I mean, have you been around someone who hasn't been in love in a while and they suddenly have found it again? They are lit up. They are feeling something different. Tune into that. If you're in a relationship that's crushing it right now, go hug that person. Tell them, you know what? I'm so thankful for the two of us. Like, it's so amazing that we met. Look at what we've done in life. Look at all this great stuff. Like, tell them, remind them. Make somebody feel special.
You know, it reminds me of our evolved couples retreat and seeing all the couples fall in love again. And one of the things that we did, and maybe this is the thing you can go do together, is I asked everyone, what's your song? Like, what's that song that represents your relationship? And when we were doing the photo shoot on the beach of all the couples, before they went out to take their pictures, we played their song and had them dance to it so that it would captivate those memories and the nostalgia and just like bring that essence of love back to the relationship. And then we sent them out to their photos. So their photos turned out so beautiful because they had already started like invoking that energy. It's a choice. You have to bring the love. You have to bring the intimacy. You have to bring the passion and pleasure. It is a choice that you make every single day. Once those butterfly hormone drugs have worn off in the very beginning of the relationship, it's your job to bring that love every single day. The last thing I want to share before we wrap it up, this has been a long one, so appreciate you guys for tuning in. Long for us. I know there's like Joe Rogan 3-hour experiences, but the other thing we did at the couples retreat that really I think changed the way that people connect and communicate is the eye gazing exercise. So I want you to turn on one of your favorite songs. Maybe it could be the song. After you dance, listen to it again, but sit down and stare at each other in the eyes, like Chris said, but do it for a long, extended period of time. And I want you to communicate from the heart. Words don't matter. You can send the energy, the love, the feeling. And if you've been with your partner for any length of time, I'm sure you guys complete each other's sentences or know what each other are thinking. So this exercise will help you to tap back into that deep level of communication. All right, Chris is looking at me like we're doing an Icelandic goodbye where it takes 30 minutes to wrap it up and give everyone a hug and a kiss and then a hug and a kiss again. And
I'll be in the car.
Chris goes to the car when he's ready. So Chris is in the car. He's ready to go. We're wrapping up the podcast. So if you love this message, please share it or leave a review and let us know by tagging us at the Elevated Life Club on Instagram. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks so much for all your love and support, and cheers to 16 years. Whoop, whoop. Until then, we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. If you loved this episode, please share that love by leaving us a 5-star review and spreading the good vibes on social. You can tag us at the Elevated Life Club. Want more wisdom from us? Become an elevator by joining us inside our monthly membership club at theelevatedlifeclub.com to discover mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a live group coaching masterclass, guided meditations, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
It has all the tools, coaching, and community you need to level up, progress every month, and keep going in every area of your life consistently over the long term.
Join us in the club and start your transformation today by signing up at theelevatedlifeclub.com.